Hard to say. Anyways, I guess we'll get started. I don't know exactly how we're gonna most of it. We'll put absolution at the bottom. If I need to make more tiers, I will. Whatever. Absolution's at the bottom because not just because absolution's the worst, but because it tries to do a bunch of different little things and it just doesn't fucking work. It doesn't work tonally. There's so much story, but like sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's wacky, but it doesn't pull it off. It's way too derivative of like every game of that era. Turning your stealth game into this shooter with a bunch of action, but the action's not that good because at least on hard mode, it's far too easy just to corner pop. Not even in cover, but just peek out of corners and shoot the whole time. It's very hard to flank enemies and drop back into stealth or do the objectives and ignore enemies after you've started fighting them. So it ends up being this just slog where you end up shooting most of the guys. And if you're not shooting them, it's more of like a basic stealth game where you're just kind of like avoiding essentially the mini-map. The way they're facing on the mini-map. Oh, I have this on repeat. No wonder. I was like, why are we hearing this song over and over? So I think the shooting's rough there. And then the stealth part of it, while you have disguises and stuff, and they have the cool system where you kind of have like the ability to walk past like people that you get too close to or whatever, it's on such a limited amount of fuel that is shared by your instinct, which is like in this game where you can see where everybody is, that you end up not getting to use it as much as you want because you have to use so much of it to get past people. And it just doesn't work in the like sandboxy type of maps. The options you have in the sandboxy maps aren't good. They're far too simple, and it's usually just too janky, and it's just easier to shoot people. So yeah. The game's at its best when it's trying to do stealthy, linear, evasive levels. It's very specific, but it kind of sort of did that in an okay way. Levels where you are trying to get past a bunch of people to an exit. Whether you want to kill or not is up to you. You're swift swapping in and out of disguises, using like special resources to get past them and breaking line of sight as you need to, and then getting out to the next area. You move very fast. You can break in and out of cover quickly. You can drag people around very fast and kill them fast. It really works well with that. I think all the metro areas and the city levels, it works well in there. But as soon as they start introducing sandboxes and hits a bit more, it just doesn't have the breadth of mechanics, and it definitely doesn't have the shooting, although the guns do feel good, they do sound good. It just doesn't have the mechanical depth to really work as a very interesting shooter. It also has a system where you could like you can paint targets and then shoot them in a row, just like Splinter Cell Conviction. But because that's shared by your disguises too, it just means the shooting once again has another element that you're not going to use very often because you'd rather use it for the stealth stuff. So I think that this tonal inconsistency on the story, trying to make it this wacky Tarantino thing without nailing any of the charm, just makes it a very uneven game that it's hard to really respect. I'm gonna put like Hitman 1 like a tier above that. I think Hitman 1 is fucked in a lot of ways, but I respect it a lot better as a first attempt. It plays into what makes the series great later on. The open maps, trying to essentially puzzle solve. It balances the shooting with some of that puzzle solving really well when it's doing the right kinds of maps. The first four, the Hong Kong ones, are a good mix of finding sniping spots and vantage points and learning about the map and using disguises and essentially playing into the puzzly stuff while still making it like about being this cool guy who's killing people. Better than sometimes even the new games. I mean, like I said, you don't want to shoot in the new ones. Half the time I feel like you're just babying AI and knocking people out. And that one, it's like it feels like it's cool to to snipe a guy or something. Like it's fine, right? Like that's part of it. You're a hitman, right? You're not a fucking like baby, right? You're a fucking hitman. So it has that vibe to it. The problem is the jungle levels are horrible. They just tried so much shit to see if it stuck. So many levels are bad. There's too much shooting in the jungle levels. Too many gimmicks. The dock is fucking horrible. The jank on the AI is fucking rancid. Some of those extra objectives are fucked. They go for way too many crazy shootouts and stuff by the end. You know, it was okay in Hitman 3 if you consider, you know, all 3 games like one campaign. But it was so bad in the first game. Is there someone who doesn't think it's fucked? Yeah. I mean, you should think it's fucked, right? Like it's got style, it's got cool music. That early like kind of jank, early PS2 graphics, like it's got a certain kind of like interesting jank to it. I don't know. They look interesting, right? The levels are almost like surreal, but a lot of it's just because they probably couldn't make them the way they wanted. They didn't have the skill or anything yet. But it adds a little bit of a charm to it. There's a good variety of locations you go to. They really wanted him to be this like all around like badass guy. Yeah, the CG on the cover. That was another thing, is he is fucking ugly in most of these games, dude. He's like a creepy, almost like just fucking like killer man, dude. The new one, he's like Sexmeister McGee, Mr. Cool Blonde guy. There's a certain like grit, like creepiness to him before, and his characters, especially like in Contracts and Blood Money, like he played into it, right? He wasn't a good guy, right? You would never be like, yeah, this is a nice guy or anything, but like he was like fun. I don't think he's quite as fun in the new ones. Well, he's cool, right? He's cool, but he was like cool and fun in the old ones. Yeah, that's CG Pierce. Like, look at, he looks like a fucking, yeah, he looks like a half zombie, right? He's like a ghoul. So I think Hitman 1 I respect more than Absolution. I think objectively, because this list is gonna, I don't know how objective I'm gonna be able to get. It's kind of hard, especially with playing most of them in the Hitman 3 engine. I respect the first one a bit more, and I would say I had more fun. I think it's fucked, and it's really irritating at times. But I was just bored playing Absolution for like the last half. And it was kind of just more like sad how they tried to how they tried to do certain things and just couldn't. Codename 47, you can at least they get away with it by it being the first one and still having lots of soul and like goofy shit. I wouldn't recommend playing it. I probably wouldn't recommend playing Absolution either. But I would definitely have more of an argument to recommend it for the first one. The first one still does cool things though too, like I mean, like they did take a lot of stuff from Absolution and use it in the new one, so it does some cool things too, like the speed and you know you can run and stealth and instinct and stuff, which you might argue is maybe too much. I've seen people make that argument, like maybe you have too much freedom of movement and to see everywhere in the new ones. But the first one, Codename 47. Oh damn! I got badass reflux. I need to stop drinking fucking soda shit. But the first one, I mean, it just makes you feel kind of like a Hitman, right? It makes you kind of feel cool. You have to like buy your gear, right? You make money after the missions. You know, the more like collateral you do, like you kill police, you kill civilians, it's gonna cost you because it costs the ICA or whatever. How much gear you truly want to bring on a mission. You can bring a lot of fucking gear, more gear than the new games, which is funny, right? You can come fucking packed with all sorts of shit, but you gotta think about what you need, what you don't need, the money you're gonna make. It's not, you don't have to think that hard about it. It's more of like a replay tool, I would say. I usually just went fully packed with whatever I wanted. I had plenty of money. But you know, some missions like the jungle, they would carry over all of your stuff between the missions. So if you brought certain guns that you found on the spot or you bought, it would carry between. And some of those ideas are still cool. And I mean, look at the roguelike mode. They're going to be using shit like that. So it's still a very interesting game to play. The nostalgia, yeah, there's got a certain charm too. Alright, I'm eating this tum. Chewy tum. I would say Hitman 2 is probably a step above that. We might have to make a new tier, we'll see. I will tell you right now, Contracts, Blood Money, and the new ones are going to be like possibly in the same tier, so maybe not. It's hard to think about the new ones. If you think of them as all one game, they're easily like up there as the best, or one of the best, right? But they're not. But there's so many things about them that are better than the others. We'll see. I haven't decided what I want to do about those. They're one game soon, but it's a little disingenuous. Like for anybody fresh to the series, yeah, that's how it's going to be, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be one game with $60 in DLC, but they were all made separately for $60 at some point, and somebody had to buy all those separately. So I'm kind of going more off of that. Granted, I played them in Hitman 3 engine with progress that carried between them, so I'm going to kind of judge it more as like a semi-value thing and campaign level design sort of deal, but don't take the tier list too seriously, that's all I'm trying to say. Anyways, Hitman 2 is a clear upgrade over the first one. Mechanically, they go harder. The locations look way better. There's more fucking places you go to. The disguises work in a more interesting way. They try to make the levels a bit more immersive. The disguises are still a little jank. You have to walk like everywhere, but being able to actually stealth through all the missions, or having more avenues more consistently is a bigger thing in Hitman 2, Silent Assassin. I don't think that many levels truly stand out in a big way. I would say I've already forgotten a lot of Hitman 2, where like Blood Money and Contracts and a lot of the new ones stand out a bit more. I think Hitman 2 makes a lot of big upgrades, but a lot of the levels are kind of just like, they're like okay. like I said, it's a big upgrade over the first one, but when you compare it to like everything that comes after, they're not really like super special, right? It's a good game. I'd recommend playing it. You definitely do feel like a Hitman. It has like a bit of a style. They're trying to go for this more like Christian. He's trying to like become like redeem himself, but he has to slip back into the Hitman thing, and so they're going for this like Boondock Saintsy thing, and it's like doesn't quite work out there, but it's a neat framing. The story's kind of cute, but it's mostly just about hits, and some of them are cool, some of them aren't. It's a cool just campaign to run through, but the series has so much potential. It's what finally dips its toe into the pool, I would say, of where it's going to go. Like the whole foot's in the pool. For the first game, it's like a toe, right? But it's not until Contracts and beyond that I feel like it really does the full dive. Coding for some options menu, 47 is the best one of them all. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, that's how Codename 47 felt. It was just a lot of really edgy 2-year-old shit, which is fine. I like edgy like stuff. It's fine, but like it felt like kind of shitty. Like the main bad guy is just like non-stop. He's going into like insane detail on each gun, and you're fighting all these clones, and then in the jungle you're fighting the guy who's like he's a fucking Scarface reference who takes thousands of shots, and it's cute, it's fun, but it doesn't feel as cohesive and shit. Like Contracts is way edgier, but it fits, right? It's like its atmosphere is like very cohesive. Everything plays into it very well. Where like Codename 47 is really just like fucking it's just all over the place. He looks like a mannequin with a suit and a sniper rifle. Yeah, the VA works pretty bad too in 47. yeah, exactly. They didn't know what they wanted to do, right? They had the disguises and the social stealth, but they also, so we're talking about the original now, obviously. But but they wanted him also to be able to be like, I could be out in the jungle and like just commando mode, right? Oh, but I'm also, there's clones and there's a crazy sci-fi plot and it's real gritty and yeah, you can like shoot a minigun and they want it to be like a shooter, but they wanted it to be like a stealth game, but like a social stealth thing, and it's like it just doesn't, none of those elements were really focused on hard enough. And obviously the social stealth thing has way more potential. Because when you just look at like Hitman 2 or Hitman 1 as like as a shooter, or even the newest ones, like, especially like Absolution, it's like it just doesn't, they don't compare, right? They're nice to do some shooting in, like the old ones, in between stealthing and stuff, right? Like, it's like in Splinter Cell, right? You fuck up, you're gonna have to shoot some people, but like it's just a piece of it. The music's getting crazy, it feels kind of tactical. You're improvising, right? It's not the only option, it's just something that can happen. And that was one of the things I had a problem with in the new one. It doesn't feel like you really want to end up shooting people in a firefight. It just doesn't quite work out because of how the maps are and shit. And the old ones, it was like kind of fun to like just occasionally end up shooting. I mean, in Hitman 2, that's one of the problems with it, is shooting is like way too strong. They didn't quite figure out that balance of like how much shooting you really should have done and how interesting the stealth options were. Like I said, you have options for it in Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, but they're not always super interesting, or they're like way too much work because like it's really slow to use disguises. You have to walk insanely slow and the maps can be a little long or linear. So sometimes you're just like, okay, it's not interesting enough. So if I end up fucking it up and just start shooting people, I'm not going to restart, especially on GameCube when it takes 10 years to restart the thing. I'm just going to shoot my way through it, right? And it was way too easy to do that. I would say Hitman 1 was much more lethal about it, which made the 4 missions that were cool, or the 5 missions that were cool, very interesting, because you could end up shooting, but it was going to be very hard. So it was usually like an accident, and then you try to get back into stealth after it. I feel like Contracts ends up being a little easy to shoot people as well, but because the maps are so interesting and the ways you kill people are interesting enough, you just don't do it as often. So it's kind of like what you'd want Hitman 2 to sort of be like there, but it doesn't quite hit it yet. And then Blood Money, it's always more interesting to like fuck with the maps than shoot. It can be a little annoying to like finagle your way through things and all that, but you still end up having enough action because the maps aren't like the size of a city. Anyways, I guess is that it for Hitman 2? I missed something on it. Yeah, good game. Definitely play it on PC if you can, but it's really hard to pull it off anymore. But on console, it's fine. It's not as fun to shoot, obviously, which some tactical shooting shit is nice, and the auto aim really fucks up stuff. It also looks way worse on console, but what do you expect? But it's a really cool like proto Hitman thing. I think it still holds up well enough. It's just like there's a campaign you can just play through. It doesn't have like that many of that mission like the first one did. Contracts. I want to put like Contracts at the top. I'm not saying it's my favorite, but I really like Contracts. I liked it a lot more than I thought. I think the jump between Hitman 1 and 2 is big, and the jump between Hitman 2 and 3 is equally big. Hitman 3 Contracts finally nails like a very interesting, cohesive, and like engaging like style is the biggest part of, I would say, Contract. It's extremely dark. They try to get a lot more creative about the places you go. There's a club that's about sacrificing animals and people and like dominatrix like leather, and then there's like a fucking like hunters like guild that like of like all good old boys who are like killing people and like run around like hedge mazes, hunting people and all that shit. Like you're assassinating people in those, and A lot of missions that are just like really gritty and dark. There's I don't think there's a single fucking mission in the daytime. It's always nighttime. Either it's raining. They're using filters to try to make it more grayscale at times. Like when you're outside of the club in the beginning of the game. The story's framed more in a dark way. He's like in and out of consciousness. Telling you about hits as he's like bleeding out and shit. It's just really cool. I think it's Jasper Kide's best Hitman soundtrack by like a lot. Blood Money? Yeah, Blood Money's really good. It'll be right up there with it. So I think the style's really nice in Contracts, and it just seeps into everything from the story to the places you're at to the music to the visuals, and it makes it just feel like it's cool, man. It's really interesting to look at. But the level design is a step up from, I would say, Hitman 2 as well. There's a lot more cool accidental ways you could take people out. There's a lot more full stealth options because everything's a bit more like dark and wacky or something. You can end up getting into some more like wonky, like violent ways of killing people, or interacting with interesting bits of set pieces and level design that you really wouldn't get into in interesting speedrunner I was talking about has released an almost hour-long video just yesterday that is his tier list of World of Assassination missions. Oh, nice. Tier list of world. Oh, okay. Of all the missions we did. Yeah. I thought about doing that, but I don't think I'll replay them to the level that I could really like dig into them like somebody like that could. I think that's a fun thing for sure. I mean, we could do it for fun, I guess. But maybe I'll do that for shits after the World of Assassination update. We'll just do the game list today, since that was a bit more of the focus. Oh, we also can't see these. Hold on. But yeah, I think Contracts is just... Every mission was interesting. The music, the presentation was always super cool. Like I said, I think all the different ways they let you do missions are still really interesting. You could still do a mix of shooting. You felt like you're a Hitman, you know? But it felt neat. They do a lot of cool set pieces, like the final mission where the police are raiding his home, and then he's got to sneak out, and you feel kind of like badass and shit. It's really nice on that front. Like I said, I think the mechanical side of things was improved. You can run again when you're in disguises and not trip people up, unless you're like really close to them. So it's a lot better on the quality of life side of things. Like the speed's just nicer. Like I said, way more. Instead of like a bunch of wacky micro levels like the one in Japan where you're in the truck and shit, and two, it's more like full fleshed out interesting levels, but they're not like gargantuan. I don't think it's a insanely massive step up in mechanics, but the level design and the presentation is like a huge step up from Hitman 2. I do think though that Blood Money ends up being a big step up in mechanics. It loses the style, although it still does have its style, right? It's trying to do this Ave Maria, like, I don't know. It feels more like Hitman 2 style, where they're getting into more of the orchestral music, and it's not quite like James Bond like the new ones are or anything, but like he still feels kind of like this greedy asshole. But where Blood Money ends up being on the same level as Contracts is not because of presentation, it's because of like mechanics, right? They add in a bunch of new things you can do, like, I mean, you can distract people with coins. The levels have just way more. You can go full accidental. Like, you could just get... Every kill can be an accident, so all the things you can pull off in levels and interact with. A huge breadth of, like, disguises and shit, like with the Suburbs mission. There's just a lot more to fuck around with. A lot of the areas are still interesting, a lot more daytime stuff, so it's a cool kind of yin-yang thing with Contracts. You've got like a closer view of him from the back. It looks visually, I mean, like I said, it doesn't have the style, but the fidelity. They just kept making these games look, like, graphics-wise, just better and better each installment. Look better in Contracts. You could tell that they did release this on the 360 era as well, because it feels like it could fit in there. I did play 1440p, but great looking games, and they really fucking update the fidelity of the graphics a lot every 2 years. It's crazy, a crazy time period for these kind of games. But they did like Hitman 1 looks rough, Hitman 2 looks way better, Contracts looks way better, it has like style, and then Blood Money looks like not style wise as good as Contracts, but like just raw graphics like way better than Contracts, which was really impressive. So between that, the mechanical options, and the first 2/3 of the campaign, just having a lot of really cool ways to go about stuff. Blood Money is definitely one of the better ones. I would say the only problem I have with Blood Money is I think the last third of the missions kind of suck. They're not as free like the White House and shit. You don't have as many. This song's a little too loud. There's not as many there's not as much freedom of options. There's a lot more kind of like goofy save load shit you're gonna have to do. There's a little too much running around and stuff like the Mississippi boat level. I feel like the gator shooting mission, while I was like cute, it's just like it's so hard to like find a way even into some of these places, and there's just not that many places to go. I think Blood Money's like last third kind of hurts a bit. I think the casino mission's okay, other than having to wait for people forever. I think visually, the Heaven and Hell Club was really neat, but a lot of it's too much waiting around or too much running between areas. It's nice to finally be able to use like elevator kills and stuff, or set up like interesting snipes, but I think that hurts Blood Money a little bit. That, and like I said, not having like really a super cohesive style, but I would say I like it as much as Contracts. Maybe personally I like Contracts a little more because of the style, but I think on paper, I think objectively they're both like really good, and Blood Money's probably better. I think if I was just to like recommend one to somebody out of the originals, I would always say Blood Money. I think it has the most just like accessible, interesting like gameplay and level design. Contracts is cooler to me because of the style, but not everybody's gonna care as much about the Jasper Kite soundtrack and like that like darker kind of grit and like cohesive style. It's gonna be more about the gameplay, and I think Blood Money, that's where it shines. I just think I really wish the last third of the levels was a little bit better in Blood Money. Yeah, see, stuff like that. That's where Blood Money really shined. That you could do accidents, that there was so many more systems in play working with each other like that. Like, you know, like I watched some of the speedruns, like you could kill the guy in the suburb's wife by like breaking the glass above her and stuff, like right in front of her. It's like then, or you could do what we did with like the lifeguard thing where you like bring her up there. I wish the new ones had stuff like that, like just small little scripted moments you could do more often instead of always just, it was either gargantuan long mission stories or just raw sandbox distraction gameplay, and I really wish they kind of did an in between there. Like Apex Predator kind of did, because you can do long drawn out stuff in Blood Money, like the opera, where you get the guy to die and then the guy comes down and then you can, you know, kill him with the chandelier, or you could kill him another way after. So there is like steps, but they're just like, you know, it's hard. It's supposed to be like this big chain of things, and you don't have to do it that way. Where in the new ones, it's like that's kind of like the focus. I kind of like it when it's like more micro scripted stuff that you can choose to kind of like do more often. I feel like when it's smaller, it's like got a lot more player choice and agency in it. Yeah, the human shield stuff, which I didn't do much, but from what I understand, yeah, you could use human shield to like knock people out. I mean, you can start. They have ballistics that go through walls in Blood Money. Like you can shoot through doors to either blow them open or to kill people through them, which can help with stealth. There's just like more little stuff like that, right? Like a lot more like kind of dynamic, what do they call it, emergent kind of systems like that, where you can kind of combine like these little features, right? Like that you can shoot through a door with all these other gadgets and stuff, and it makes it really interesting. And it's a big improvement from over Contracts on that front. Also, I think the upgrading system's really cool. It feels like you're earning something and you're spending it in a way that you can actually use it. It looks cool. It is useful. I think there's some half-baked systems like the notoriety. I do think it's not as easy to do shooting, or it doesn't happen as naturally because the maps are a bit more um, tight, and you can't really draw back into stealth as easy. It has that problem where if you do Silent Assassin, you make more money, but if you make more money, you don't use it on anything because you only walk in with a pistol and all that. For just one run through, it's fine because you only, you'll finish fully upgrading a pistol, a sniper if you want, or MP5, and your miscellaneous equipment. But it kind of the reward system's kind of shitty on that front, where you're essentially trying to get more money. You have less to use it on. But I still honestly prefer that over what the new ones do, where you just don't have much of anything. Yeah, exactly. It's about using little scripted moments in your way, whether they intended it or not, to do something cool. I think that's the problem with this. Is like you either kind of do it their way in the new ones, or you just use extremely like basic, like rudimentary kind of mechanics to do it. I mean, yeah, there are like micro scripted things, like I said, like the lawyer thing and all that, with the pen that you can do that aren't mission stories. And I think they start doing that in the new Hitman 3 because of those reasons. There's just not as many like small ways to do shit. But yeah, I think having that player agency, having that choice makes you feel like, you're the Hitman. I'm making those cool choices. Like in the old ones, it was like, you pick your loadouts, you're making the money. You end up in a shootout, that's your deal. It felt like you were kind of like jacked in a little bit more. The player choice was a bit more of a thing, even though there was like less stuff you could do. Yeah. And that's kind of supposed to be what the focus of the new ones is that sandbox nature, that like player choice. But like I said, I feel like so much of it's just superfluous. It's just like so much of the map's just not used, or so many mechanics just aren't worth bothering with, or you just can't bring that much shit to the mission, and too many rewards like that are pushing you to essentially just follow the stories and like knock people out with your hands, and it's just like, well, it's like that's not that cool, man. like the old ones, I feel, even if you weren't doing Silent Assassin, it's like, you still had like a little, like all the system would kind of play into it a little bit, right? Like in the new ones, if I ended up shooting people, I was just like, well, I just like super fucked up, right? I also think a cool thing about the older ones is you had limited saves. And while you do get difficulty with one save in the newest ones, I do think just constantly save loading and knowing you can do that, so like the optimal strategy is just to do all the mission stories and get all your little upgrades and mastery and stuff, kind of takes away, like I said, you don't end up in a firefight and improvise. You just reload. And it's like you don't have to play like that, but you are heavily incentivized to play like that. When one saves too little for how big the maps are in the new ones, in my opinion, and the trespassing and the jank of some of the AI is too annoying to really want to do a one save. But the old ones, they would do 3 or 6 or 7, right? And I think like that kind of play around it is cool. But I also, like I said, I think it was just like you could be more willing just to shoot people and still feel like you were like a hitman guy who was doing stealth. Because you're there to kill people. You're not. It's not like a Splinter Cell where it's pure ghost, right? That was one of the things with Blood Money too. Is like sometimes when you're looking for accidents and stuff, the process can be like. Yeah, you either reload a lot, because to do full Silent Assassin in any of these games, it's a lot of there's a lot of jank involved, a lot of just like searching around for what they want, a lot of reloading, and that's where kind of the improvisation aspect of the ones before Blood Money was kind of fun in a way. Was like because there wasn't always those options, and it was almost all like player controlled, and there wasn't a whole lot of scripted shit. Like there was micro stuff, but like there wasn't like long chains. you could just kind of deal with it. Like if she fucked up, like okay, you know, you can reload if you want, but like you just kind of keep moving too. Where in Blood Money and the new ones, it feels like you're not playing it right. So even though they're like based on more sandbox elements, it's sandbox elements that like they want you to be doing instead of like I'm not saying I want them to be third-person shooters or anything, but like it felt like shit to ever start shooting people in Blood Money and Beyond, right? Having it just be a tool is cool though. Accident kill not targets. Yeah, I liked that a lot too. I think that was a little limiting in the new ones. Like, think in Blood Money, that mission where you're on the side of the mountain. Wait, or was that in the new one? Oh, that was in this one. Was it? I can't. Was that Blood Money or is that? We've played too many in a row. The one where the guy's in the glass tub or whatever. I think that was Blood Money. Yeah, because you don't kill little dogs in this one. That was Blood Money. Like that one, you could like shoot the bottom out and then kill everybody in the tub, but it wouldn't like count against you super hard. So that gave you the option to do that if you wanted to. It was like a fun like little thing. Or yeah, you could accident kill like the lady or whatever the fuck, the wife in the suburbs mission. Like so it gives you a bit more freedom, and that's kind of what I mean is like the new ones are about freedom, but then they really limit you in a lot of ways, right? Like shootings always sucks. You don't have that many gadgets. If you want to do silent assassin and you step one foot in the wrong area, you're fucked. Accidental kills. You know, it's cool to be like, hey, if I'm really creative with how I do my kills, as long as they don't make it really ghetto, like, you know, I just walk in with like 100 propane tanks, you know, like as long as they can make it work in a fun way, like I said, the wife in the suburbs, like I think allowing you to have a few more kills here and there is neat, right? Like I drop a chandelier on somebody in the new ones, if anybody's nearby, the mission's over. Or, you know, I have a bomb in a suitcase, it's like if I kill anybody else, it's like fuck, right? But like in the old ones, like you could still do that because of accidents, and I think it's kind of neat. There was definitely problems in Blood Money where it's like it's too slow to knock somebody out or to syringe them. Took fucking forever, so like there's a lot of times, you know, AI pathing, they would do a really shitty like 5-foot loop back and forth, and you just didn't have time to do anything in between it. So there was bad stuff like that that limited you. But like for the most part though, yeah, they had little systems like that to kind of allow you some freedom while not totally removing the challenge of it. Yeah, exactly, Lassie. It would also make first time feel more cool because you could kill more. Yeah, exactly. It was more about if he got caught, right? Not really had the morality of does he just kill the guy he needs something. It was more about like, you know, do they know he did it? It's an accident, nobody knew he did it, so he is a silent assassin because nobody even knows there's an assassin there, right? But in this it's more like you just kill the guy they want, right? It's like I don't really care about the purist you have to kill just the target kind of thing, right? It's more about the outcome, and I kind of like the moral like dark edge of that, where it's like he doesn't really care if he kills people, because in fucking Blood Money and Contracts he just kills innocent people in the cutscenes all the time. It's like the fucking character, right? He's killing birds, he's killing delivery men just because they saw him, right? Like he's an asshole. And it kind of felt like that was what they were going for, especially in Blood Money with allowing accidents and shit. But then like the gameplay, it's like you have to only kill that guy in the new ones, and it's like, it would be kind of nice to have a little bit of the wiggle there. Yeah, it kind of was more immersive, like I mean, in Blood Money. The newspaper thing where it would try to like twist like how you killed people and stuff, and whether they knew about it, and they would put it on the news, right? It was like that played directly into the notoriety system. Like I said, it was half baked, but the idea that how many people found out you killed somebody was literally like punished in like story and, you know, systems in the game outside of just like extraneous challenges like in the new ones was kind of neat. Like I said, it was a little half baked, but like allowing people to kill other people in accidents was like literally part of the whole fucking thing. Like it was just part of the design of it. Because it works with the newspaper and it works with the notoriety and all that shit. Like it just kind of felt yeah, like it was more planned that way because it would be more fun. Where in the new ones, it's kind of like it's for a sandbox, it's a little limiting at times, right? Like, cause it's just cool sometimes, you know. Like when I'm gonna blow up the talk or whatever, the tac talk TikTok, whatever it's called. Um, in the mission in Hitman One, the new ones, it's like they all have to walk away. Or the one where I have the reporter walk up, and I put the bomb inside of her camera. I can't do that and get Silent Assassin because it kills her and the bodyguard. Where it's like, you know, who cares, right? Like, yeah, you could just do it anyways, but you miss out on XP, you miss out on mastery, you don't get the challenge, you don't get much for just playing like fun killer mode, right? That's one of the problems with incentives is they can make you play a certain way, but they can also push you away from playing a certain way. And Blood Money does do that too. If you don't play silent, you're gonna get a bunch of notoriety and shit. You're gonna get paid less. So it does push you away from that strategy, those strategies, which can be a little bit more boring, but I think it balances it in a way that's acceptable. Yeah, exactly, Lassie. She's stuff you can literally run inside, trespass, want to play every time I would know, and then the new choice took your time. Yeah, I thought that was so goofy. Yeah, it's just so odd. And they don't do a good job of like telling you it's going to be there, visualizing it. I mean, even just having it on instinct would be fine. Although having to be attached to instinct is not as cool as just like running around and just engaging with the level just as it is. I get the need for it, I guess, with all the details in these levels, and you can't pick out items you can grab, and it's really hard to make all of that happen with visual design while you're trying to make these like real looking areas. Not everything could be spray painted in yellow, right? Like in a horizon or something. It does make it so that if the stealth is a little bit faster, they could put more enemies around because you have more, you know, powers of vision and shit. But yeah, too much of it I think can be a little. But since they're gargantuan levels, it's like I guess I get it, right? Like even knowing where everybody is at all times. Like maybe even getting rid of that could be neat. Like I mean, in these elusive missions they do. Right? Like you kind of have this like laser focus on everybody, and you already know where everything is. And there's kind of like a let's say magic, a certain engagement you get from the old ones, trying to just find who you need to kill, right? And then piecing together the level around them. But they're too big in this game, so it's in the new game, so it's like they're just too fucking large to just realistically run around and find some of these people, and they'd have to actually hint at them heavily and have NPCs talking about where these people are or what they like to do, and you piece together real information and like compile like a dossier on them to like figure out how you can kill them. Like in all the old ones, even the first one, like me just running around investigating, not just to see the XP pop up on the map, but to actually like compile like some information to then figure out how I want to kill them was like a big part of it. And maybe like things would happen on the way and I ended up just killing them early, or you know, you'd improvise more because like you didn't already know everything that was going to happen. I think the new one's like too upfront about exactly where everybody is at all times. And not piecing together enough information, especially with the full guidance. But then you kind of need it because they've designed the game around guidance too, right? Like they're like, okay, find the scenic view, and I'm like, what the fuck's the scenic view, right? Like be like, hey, first floor, around this area, put it in like an intel thing or some kind of data briefing that like Diana or Gray tells you, like something like that, right? But it's like instead it's just like they expect you to essentially have it on guidance, which removes a little bit of that exploration and data compiling to try to like figure out where these targets are. Because if you were a real hitman, you would like have to figure out things about the target and like move around and figure out info. And maybe that's boring to people or something, but it also is like what makes I feel like some of the old Hitman games differ from just like playing like a stock third-person shooter, right? With just like quests or something in a semi-open world. You want to have the red markers and you use the camera or whatever to choose who you think is the target based on your intel. And then that gets set as the wrong target, as the target wrong. Oh, see, that's cool. Yeah, see, that's more like being like a hitman, right? Like I liked the idea that Diana in the new ones told you more shit. She was like actually your operator in a story way. This like omnipresent, omniscient, not omnipresent, omniscient, like kind of know where everything is. The thing is, like, part of that's because of the replay value. It's the angle. You make these gigantic maps in the new ones that are supposed to be used in a bazillion different escalation missions and elusive targets, and they're just too big to realistically like pepper good hints and stuff around. Like, think about the very first game, the hotel mission. You go up to the dentist office and she tells you where the guy's at different times, and then you like run down there and get to him. And you can talk to other people and like figure where things are, and you're reading like cards. It's like, oh, the terrorist guy knows the dentist, so maybe that's where the bomb is, and you find the bomb, but then you're like, oh, I need to find out where the dentist is to get the key card to get in here. And it's like you're like figuring things out. It's exploration, and it's like kind of a puzzle, but it's also like immersive in a way, like, well, that's probably what Hitman would have to do, right? And then you find out like where they go, and then you learn about the environment around them and find ways you could kill them. And it's like, this is like the first Hitman game, right? Like, and sometimes, even in the first one, it feels like it's a bit more of like I'm a Hitman. It feels almost more natural than sometimes these new ones where you're just like, oh, there he is, 500,000 meters away. He's got this very strict thing, and if I follow this like exact, guidance thing, it's like, yeah, you can find intel in this, but it's like, in the new ones, but it's like, it's not really like, yeah, like how often are you really looking through info to like figure things out, like intel? A lot of it's just like extra like lore almost, or little things you can learn here and there. I think, like I said, the third one has a bit more stuff that you can just listen in on shit and learn stuff and use that. But it's like, there's so many systems that are like telling you that you should do it this other way between the challenges and the mission stories, that like going for those smaller ones, like the lawyer thing, in that last mission we did in the third game, like, just they don't stand out as much. Where in the old ones, I feel like stuff like the lawyer thing, where you just listen in and find out something, and it's not marked at all, and you're just like putting together information, like, just that was like the game, right? That was like, it all just felt equally important. Or like, I feel like the new ones, they really like de-incentivize or downplay just the natural minute to minute exploration and like improvisation that you would do. And I thought that kind of sucked. I liked it a lot better when every piece of info I got, every little thing about the level I learned could be valuable, could be a tool, and it wasn't like some stupid weak thing where I'd end up missing out on XP or not learning, like getting a story or something, right? It was just another thing I could do, and it's like, I'm just there, right? You're just there to hit somebody, like in the immersion of it. Like, I'm figuring out the best way to do it. You're not thinking about how much XP am I fucking getting here? Where is he on my like vision 5,000 yards away and all that? It's like, you just fucking put the info together. And it's like, I kind of like that. The old one's better. But I get like why they need it. Yeah, Lassie. It's like, I get partially why they need it, and I think it's better used in certain games where they just show you where items are, right? Like, the big thing about why games have like in The Last of Us or like Batman or every single game that has a fucking like, PS4 era beyond vision thing, even not even a 360 era. It's because the amount of detail and levels and what you can actually interact with is very different from reality, right? In reality, I could pick up anything on my desk, but in like a game that has as much details of reality, I can only still pick up a couple things. So that you have to like know what you can climb on, what you can grab, and I get like something there to tell you. It's really easy just to have a vision that does it, and I get that. But yeah, when it comes to like stealth, knowing where every target is, knowing where the guards I can kind of get to a certain extent, but like not the targets feels like a bit much at times. But like, I get why they need it. I mean, obviously a perfect game would do it all with visuals, but I get that this is trying to base itself on reality. They don't, like I said, they don't want to have white chalk on everything, like, like Uncharted or something, right? Like, it's, but that's the problem, is that you make those concessions for visuals and stuff, and it does affect down the line, I feel like, the gameplay, and you can go too far, especially in a stealth game. Yeah, Lassie. Or you just had to confirm the target, and then you could see him to a certain distance or something. You should probably eat something. Yeah, I need to eat something here in a bit. We're gonna talk through the rest of these. So I think that element of it was big, and I think I'm only just now realizing what about the new ones I do dislike at times. I think that's part of it. I feel like in trying to make the new ones extremely replayable, extremely large and pretty, they have to make too many concessions. Oh, and to like, yeah, too much incentivization and unlocks and challenges. They end up de-incentivizing smaller moments and discovery, and I think the levels just aren't tight enough. And I kind of like I said, like maybe it's not as good for replays, because you would know everything in a mission later, although I still think it's fine. Like if you just learned everything, then you get to go in with that knowledge and try different things out, like in Blood Money or Contracts. There's still plenty of things for you to fuck around in, it's just how you discover it and how annoying that is, which with a smaller map it's not as annoying. Like I think that's important, and I think all of those challenges, incentivization and stuff, while it's nice bonus, I think is way too integral and too focused on in the new ones. So it just makes like that minute to minute gameplay. It's always like kind of like playing into your choices here and there. And the ease of like information and stuff. Like it's why I feel like the escalations are like super uninteresting at times. It's like you have even less like to learn and do, right? Other than like being able to like find them physically, it's like it's just literally you just walk and run around just trying to find a way to like shoot them. So yeah, for sure. Yeah, the organic way of doing it. And like I said, I think the new one's like for 10 years after Blood Money, I mean, I really feel like there should be more tools. And I would say that mechanically they technically are the best, right? Like they have a lot of tools. They have a lot of things you can pick up, and a lot of ways the enemies respond, and you know, they have the stuff like the enforcers to add certain complications and all that stuff, but I just feel like it should be still like more than it is. And I mean, part of it's, I think, what we were talking about. Maybe it is enough, but maybe it's more about how you discover it and the size of the maps and where you can actually use some of this shit. But like in Blood Money, there's a lot of ways you could do things, but most of it had a lot of value. Like you could use just about whatever, right? And like the new ones, it's like most of the mechanics just are unused, man. Like all for the sake of like escalations and shit. I'm like, well, like one escalation to me is less interesting than just playing like a level in Contracts again, right? Like I'd rather just, or playing like a mission story or some shit. So it's like, I just don't think it's worth bothering with the time. Unless you just really want more Hitman, which is fine. It's good as a bonus thing, but I think it's too ingrained in the design of the maps and the gameplay. I think they lost something for it. It's kind of my problem. It's not just a bonus, it's like part of the intended experience. I like it more as an extra. Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, like that's why I was like really excited for these. I was like, man, you take the old style where you like organically figure things out, and you add in all this new tech that you can do, you know, with the way AI works and all the things they've learned from Absolution and all these other games, and you know, all these new gadgets and little micro stories. And you know, he actually fits in. And the new ones he does, like he fits in and he has dialogue, and he actually like he'll do like stretches with them and stuff. He'll deliver the pizza and say things like all that stuff. I was like, oh man, you're gonna have all that. And I'm gonna explore like a tight map, and I'm gonna like figure things out. But there's like so many more tools and sandbox elements, and it's like, but then it ends up it's not quite like like it's not quite like that. Remake Blood Money or Contracts. Blood Money is the one where they make the money for remaking it. Sure. Yeah, lastly, for sure. I think that's a big part of it, is I might not care as much about the tools if I could use more of them, and there was more at the start. Like I said, the first fucking Hitman game has a better fucking loadout. It's at times, man, right? Just because you could pick more shit to run around with. Yeah, I mean, like it's like I said. I mean, it is like I said. Maybe Fast is right there. Maybe it's less the amount of tools and the situations where you could truly use them. If I could use like car batteries and, you know, put water on the ground and use car batteries, or mess with wrenches on, you know, gas pipes, or, you know, make people slip on banana peels and shit more readily, then it'd be fine. But I just don't think it really happens though. How often are you really killing these people that way? There's so much fucking like extra fluff and shit. And like I said, you're so incentivized to not just play like that at times. Or it's like, if you could do that in like a blood money level, it's much tighter. So like if there was like a gas leak area, like 10 gas leak areas in like blood money or something, like you realistically could maybe take a target over there, or they'd end up near one, or you could make like a chain reaction of shit. And it's like, yeah, for me it's more, I think, in level design. I just don't think the levels are tight enough to make that not feel like it's just a pain in the ass sometimes. And an incentive and shit. Maybe it's like, I don't know, I want to say the repetition of it between the missions, like, I don't know exactly. Yeah, it's like, I'm fine with, I think it feels cooler to be able to just use stuff in the mission when I do have a bunch of powerful tools, because then I'm having to resort to more like on the fly stuff, right? Like, just limit my ammo, limit my amount of choices, like have it be like I'm gonna have to use a lot of these on guards on stuff. Like, it's just like, yeah, the option. It's like, I have to bring the lockpick most of the time, and then that's kind of it, man, you know? Like, I have the lockpick and one gadget, and it's like, I like the idea of having stashes and being able to start in different areas and stuff. But like, I mean, the other games did it too, right? You'd have to like go pick up in blood money or shit from somewhere, and yeah, I just think like a game like 10 years after Blood Money, like, I'd really just rather have a bit, like, it's cooler to be a fucking like assassin guy who has like a cool kit at the start and then needs to make shit happen. In Blood Money, you got 20 syringes, you got coins, you got lockpicks, you get, I mean, I think, did you get bombs too? 2 bombs, all this shit, but you still end up killing people through accidents because it's fun. Killing people, just environment shit, like, but you don't have to. Or in this game, it's like you kind of like you don't really even have the option. It's either bring it or look for the first crow. Every single level's not that much better than a crowbar. Both take on the same number. Crowbar barely makes noise. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't want like an element of having to just like a repetitive, like, I have to look for a crowbar, you know. I have to pick up everything I see because every little thing can be used for other stuff. And it's like, I get that. I think it's cool. Like, yeah, I can use a wrench on something and it makes sense, but it does suck walking into a level, be like, oh, there's a really cool thing I want to kill somebody with, and then not having like the one power cell in like a fucking 10-kilometer wide map. And it's like, well, I'm just not gonna bother, right? I'm not gonna fuck around with that. It's like, it's in a smaller map, I could go find it, come back, because it's more realistic to do. And I can make more of like crazy kills and shit. Where it's like, it just feels like the maps are so big and so much of it's just not used enough that like it just doesn't feel as interesting. And then you get like mission stories and there's like, oh, there's gonna be like an hour-long detective story where I'm gonna kill them in some crazy way. It's like, why would I want to bother with the goofy kill when it's like that much extra effort and fucking around? Yeah, and I like the gunshot thing. Like, make my tools more powerful. Yeah, see, I like that. I just wish that maybe more tools did that, or as useful as the gun for that kind of stuff. I also, like, yeah, I don't really know that I can do a lot of that from the start, because I just don't know what the precedent is at times. I don't think they do a great job in the tutorial of, like, really letting you know as much of what you can fuck around with. Fiberwire and lockpick should not be something you have to pick. First is the most iconic weapon of the whole game. Yeah, then I just like never use it. I mean, the thing is, like, there's a reason to not use the fiberwire anyways, because if you want a silent assassin, you can't just kill random people. Granted, you could just not silent assassin. I didn't silent assassin every mission, but it's like having it there is like, why not, right? If I do want to kill somebody, I'm like, ah, fuck it. I got fiberwire, right? I don't have much time. I'm just gonna avoid the silent assassin. Let's just win, right? Like, I liked that in some of the old ones, right? Where it was like it was cool trying to do some silent assassin shit, but like it was lethal enough, or I had like a limited enough amount of saves, or you know, I had enough fun in the level already where I was willing to like just say, fuck it, I'm just gonna kill this guy, let's just get it done with or something, right? Like if it meant I was gonna be quicker or some shit. I just don't think in this one it feels like you do that as much. Yeah, I definitely think the lockpick. Like I said, give me more tool. I don't mind the idea of having a loadout and having to pick shit. That was like I said, a cool part of the first game and Blood Money and stuff. It's a part of what makes being like a hitman cool. Is like, what tools do you bring, you know, and all that kind of shit. What kind of on-site shit do you have, right? Like you're literally prepping to kill somebody in a place that people don't generally get killed, right? Like that's what's kind of part of the cool. And I just think they kind of fucked that up. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know, maybe Fasto's right on that. I'd probably agree. I think it's more on the tightness of the level design, where the NPCs end up, how valuable each of those little sandbox elements truly are at the time. I definitely think more tools earlier on the fly would be nice. But I like I said, I like the idea of just like grabbing shit and using it. Why not have like a nice list of shit you can bring and then like fun stuff you can do afterwards? That's like Blood Money, right? So. It's like I don't need to be like forced to do like mission story stuff or something. It should just be interesting enough to like want to forego using a bunch of tools. Yeah, that too. That's why I mean, like the gun's really strong, but it's like I mean, I get it. The balance is supposed to be that then somebody has to, you know, you might get caught using the gun, but I mean that's not really that hard to get around with. Like in the future games, I want this kind of stuff, like, you know, where you could rig like gas lights and stuff like that. I just would like it to be in like, yeah, like tighter maps, and have it just be like a fun option on top of even more fun options that I can play into, instead of just like, you know, like that's all I can do right now or something, or it's not going to be useful. Also bring back Jesper Kai, Jesus Christ. Well, I'm not even talking about Blood Money, we're talking about the new ones. I don't know where I'm going to drop the new ones, man. I think like Hitman 2 campaign, I think even though I haven't replayed all the levels extensively, I think the levels are pretty good. I'd probably put it up there. I do think mechanically these are the strongest, the new ones. I think they just have, you know, a lot more going on. You do get plenty of options. The mission stories just gives you a lot of like fun stuff you can do. Like I said, I think the level design, I think the unlock systems, I think the focus on replayability. No, if I wanna make it like clickbait, I do this. I put these down. Yeah, this is probably the clickbait, right? Contract stuff with S, absolution, right? Where the fuck even am I? Yeah, that's the clickbait. Oops. Well. Just make another tier here. I'd rather they just kept the money system where you bought stuff. Well, see, that's the thing is like, yeah, you could upgrade your shit and your pistol became more than just, you know, something you'd shoot at tools and stuff. It was like you could shoot it through a wall, or you could use two if you cared more about firepower. You could get a scope on it. Like you just had like a lot of extra thought put into it. Maybe it wasn't all useful. Like the assault rifle and shit, like when are you gonna really use that if you're trying to sneak around? But like you know, there was a lot more depth to like every little element. I feel like in this one, like while the maps have more to interact with and mechanically it's probably the strongest because of that, it's like still at the end of the day, like I really feel like the how much depth the tools have and how many you can use at once and stuff is really kind of weak compared to some of the other ones. And part of it's map design, part of it's access, part of it's, you know, like loadouts. I mean, part of it's, you know, incentivization, like Silent Assassin XP and mission design and, you know, our mission stories and stuff like that. It's not all on the tool. And I think you guys make a decent point there, but I definitely feel like it still could be better. for like 10 years later. Now 16, 17 years later. Like I don't think it's quite to the extent I was expecting. Hitman 2 is a better game than Hitman 2. Yes. Yeah, I think Hitman 2 is definitely better than Hitman 2. But not quite as good as, you know, Hitman 1. Well, not that the other Hitman 1. But Hitman 3 is really good, but maybe not as good as Hitman 3. Oh, yeah, my bad. I'm still on the bait here. It was Absolution, then the first one, and then this one. I don't know why these are... There's like 1, 2... These are not like... Don't think of these as like ratings. It's literally me just like... Just these are the tiers. I'm not. These are not. This is not a fucking C game. It's like shit, right? But like, it's just higher than Absolution. That's the point. I think there's a gap. Yeah, but anyways, with Hitman 2, I think stuff like Miami and all the levels are really nice. It's only 5 levels and a tutorial, so I think Hitman 1 has a better value because it's a prologue and 6 full levels. But I do think the quality of the levels in 2 is better. And let's be real, the tutorial level looks really nice. It's going to be hard to really rate the new ones because they're all running on the same engine for me, and they use like the same mechanics and all that kind of bullshit. Okay, I gotta shut my door. There's just like a certain simplicity, like laser focus to some of the old ones that I think just kind of made them more interesting at times. But anyways, yeah, I think Hitman 2 is like, it's just the look of the game. A lot of the levels are more creative. Yeah, most of them are just fun. It's mostly on the campaign. I still think it's a shit value at times because it's just 5 levels. I almost want to pop it like below. Like, I almost want to be like, I think the new ones are worse than these two, but I don't think that's quite right. They might just be on the same level. I have like a personal like more for like certain elements of those than the new ones, but I do really think, like I said, the look, the amount of mechanics, all the extra like systems they put in there, the leaderboards, the contracts, you know, all the escalations, the sheer value is something to really commend. Like you said, the way you could use the gun in way more ways than like blood money, stuff like that is what's cool. And deranged, yeah. H for Hitman. Everything's Hitman now. I do think the story stuff in Hitman 2 is at its worst, but like it's all pretty bad anyways. The first one probably had the best story shit because it was a little bit more simple and fully pre-rendered, but I don't really care about the story shit as much. Oh yeah, thank you, Les. Yeah, I'd love to read or watch that. Yeah, I've heard the Patient Zero Al-Qaeda thing was cool. Yeah, people seem to like New York, but I can't play that without paying money for it. And Ambrose Island. Shame that two of the really good levels I didn't get to play, but oh well. That's also another problem I have with the new ones. I just like while the levels, like I said, while the levels are big and the replayability is a huge focus, I think it's like too focused. I just don't think there's enough fucking levels. And there's the fucking DLC, like man, $30 for fucking 2 levels, man. I'm like, god damn, dude. Like I get it, you replay them, but I'm like, shit, dude. Like I said, blood money just for one playthrough and doing like a bit of replays was like 16 plus hours for me. You know, I spent on Hitman 3 like 6. And yeah, I could replay them to get way more hours than that, but like I'm having to replay after 6. Whereas Blood Money I'd replay after 16, right? Like it's like yes, technically in the long run you get like more maybe out of the new ones, but I'm like I just don't know if it's quite worth it for me as much, right? It really just depends on how much it really clicks with you, but like yeah, this, you know, Hitman 1 probably took me, you know, 8 to 10 or some shit, but there's no replay value, so it's absolutely, you know, 2 is way better on that front. Contracts, I'd probably still could get a few replays if I really wanted, but yeah, I don't know, not quite the same there. Anyways, yeah, there's not much else to say on 2. 1, 2, and 3 are gonna be really similar. I even putting them like below each other is kind of bizarre to me. I could just put them in order of like how good the campaign was, maybe. I mean, do I want to do this? I feel like some part of the new ones needs to be a tier below. It doesn't feel right having them all just up there with each other. I also don't think there's like a huge power gap here. This would be the order I probably liked the campaigns, though. I do think the last level as a value thing is not amazing with 3, but 3 does show at times more creativity in the visuals. You're getting the cyberpunky kind of place. You're getting places that are dark at night. You're getting places that are not. You don't, you know, they're actually playing with the improvisation like Apex Predator. They're trying to do different shit and making it work a bit more with what makes these maps whatever they are. So I think I liked that about Hitman 3. There's more set piece kind of shit like the Dubai or whatever the fuck. So that was pretty exciting. It's still just 5 levels and then a shootout, which the shootout is cute, but I mean, it's cute because it's kind of just like a standard kind of play on what you've been doing. You know, it's kind of like the reverse of what you've been doing for this entire campaign. So it's kind of cute. It'd be really fine in a normal Hitman game, or not normal one, like an old Hitman game where you just have a level that's like that. You can stealth it still, but I still feel like, I mean, Contracts has a better version of that where you have the cops coming at your door, right? So. And as a value thing, it's bad. As a value thing, it's like it's 1 less level for $60. So, but yeah, I think that's a problem all of them have. Personally, though. It's almost enough for me to want to say I like them all less. But I like I said, I think how cool it is, the animations, the way the levels look, you having so many options, them playing into the stories more, you being able to actually take on the role a bit better, finding that balance between speed but still needing to be like deliberate enough where you have to think about how, you know, quick things are going to take to get done, like strangling somebody. Yeah, a lot of my biggest problems, I would say, with the new ones is more something they all share than really a problem I have between the levels. So it's really hard to, like, they're really close together because they all have the exact same issues, and the level design in all of them, you know, it looks cool enough, right? Like I said, I think like 2 and 3 probably have a little bit more interesting level design for me, although I think Hokkaido is really neat because it's a tighter map, but some of the Hitman 1 levels run together a little bit. Sometimes it looks like they're kind of just it's almost there to look nice than really to be that fun to run through. Or at times, like in 2 and 3, some of the ideas there are a bit more fun to play around with. I don't know. Like I said, I think wherever they go, I think to be fair to them, I need to put them... Yeah. Yeah, I really liked the how Hokkaido was really tight about using disguises, about the map not being huge, the way the AI plays into it. Yeah, stuff like that, more creative shit. Like I was wondering what you meant because I didn't do the part where you went and talked to the AI. Yeah, that's cool. Where he's just not gonna make it. Like I think those kinds of things are really neat, and Hokkaido was like really tight. But I do think like, you know, like the Iraq map's kind of like whatever. The first map's cool, it's like a first one, but like at the end of the day, that one and like the hotel and all that, they feel like they just run together a bit. You didn't do it either? Yeah, I saw the heart, but I didn't think about it not working, and him not dying until later. It's cute though. I'd already set up a kill for him, so. Yeah, Hokkaido's really good in the first one. Like I said, because of its tighter level design. See, the thing is, in that one, they strip you down. You have nothing going in there. But because it's so designed around that, it's really neat, right? What's funny, some of the best missions in Hitman, the new ones, are the ones where you have, like, nothing. Yeah, there's some people in there, but I went into the room and saw the heart, but I already was doing the drugged out, head surgeon kill. So I just like sucked the fucking blood out of the guy and killed him with the arms. That was the thing, it was cool to like figure out those and fuck with them. And it played more into the budget, right? Like, because you didn't have as many tools to kill people in like goofy, like shoot 'em up type of ways or using the environment, they had to make the actual mission stories and the ways you could figure out how to like get farther into the compound and use the AI and stuff to kill people way more exciting, because that was what you had and the level design was tight and based around it. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel lastly. See, I didn't get to do New York. I'm gonna have to watch New York. I really wish that was becoming free. Yeah, that's the thing, is like I really think it's like when the new ones are going, they're really cool, and like the way that just, you know, the graphics and the extra budget they can put into like stories and the way he blends in and some of the mechanics actually working, like, you know, like Fast was talking about all the ways you can use the gun and stuff. When they actually make that shit work, it's really cool. But yeah, I feel like too often, yeah, it feels like, I don't know. Do I want to do it? I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about it. I won't lie. I had more fun with the contracts and Blood Money, but like, I really do think the 2, 3, and 1 are really good. I just don't know. Yeah, see, Blood Money has like a shit like last third too. But it's like, man, there's just like, there's not many missions in these fucking games. If you count all 3 of these together as one game, absolutely, it's fucking boom. You know, easy up there. Like each is a separate entry. It's a little rougher of a sell then. I think that some of the missions, I think this the general structure of the new ones, I don't quite agree with. and I don't think the sandbox is as free and as fun as I would have liked after like 10 years later plus. And it's like, while they're better, I just like, you know, as a separate $60 per, it's not quite the same. But if I were to put them all together into the world of assassination, which will become, which is fair, because nobody's going to think of these as separate games eventually, you know. But that's the thing, is like, do I consider the Master Chief Collection one game, right? It's 3 separate games. It's like 5 separate games, right? It's like, if you think of it as one thing, which they do kind of feel like it because of the story and how few maps there are per, it's easily one of the best, if not the best. But like, that's not how it actually is. It is for me because that's how I'm playing it, but it's not how it really is. So I think it kind of hurts them a bit. The last levels of the neutral, like Colorado, are a huge drag. Everybody hates Colorado. I only did Colorado once. Yeah, the problem with Colorado is like everybody ends up in the basement. It's not really that great to look at, and from what I could tell, the mission story is that there's not a whole lot of like fun little set pieces, right? It's also just all enemies and shit on kind of like a flat level, and I don't know. I didn't get to redo Colorado as much to really say, but I didn't want to replay it really that bad either. So I guess that has some value. I replayed the second level a lot more. The only problem I had with the second level was going back to do the destroying the sample was annoying. Although when I was doing Sniper Assassin yesterday off stream, you could just start there and instantly blow it up, so they actually set you up really nice. Yeah, the house, everything happening in the house was kind of goofy. When I was walking around discovering like stuff, I was like, this isn't as bad as everybody says, but the house, yeah. I don't think the outside's that exciting though. Like I said, there's not like that much cool stuff happening, but like the house is really, yeah, everybody ending up at the basement's kind of goofy. Like in a suit only mission, you would just like get to the basement and just sit there. It's kind of like, like whatever. Like it might be hard to get there, but then you kind of win. Also that you need to drag that guy's body to the thing. Absolution was so bad. Yeah, you know, it was my first Hitman game I ever played. I'd actually played it before this event, but I replayed it again. I expected it to be a bit better. I know that people don't like the direction they took with Absolution, but if you ignore that, I was expecting it to be fine. It's just like a semi-stealth third-person shooter. But like I said earlier, it just fails too hard as a shooter and as a stealth game, and it's so tonally inconsistent for how much it tries to actually excel you on its story that I just have very little respect for it. Like, it's not the worst thing ever, but like, I didn't expect to dislike it as much as I did. I was just kind of bored with it. Yeah. I didn't think I'd fall in line on that. I don't really care about it not being like a normal Hitman game. I care a lot more about it not really owning what it actually tried to do. Some Ranch America is one of the most boring settings for a Hitman level. Boring theme. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't mind the idea of like just a normal place. I mean, the suburb levels in Blood Money and Hitman 2 is some of the coolest shit, right? But yeah, just being in the middle of like Colorado, you're not even like in the mountains, you're just kind of there. Like, not that interesting. I get what they were going for. At the beginning, I thought it was cool because I was like, oh, it's all, everybody's, you know, aggressive, and I gotta be like really careful. But then it doesn't really end up being that neat. Yeah, that would have been a level that if you would have set up in an old Hitman game would have been more interesting because of how like the like guns and lethality kind of worked a bit better, but like it just doesn't quite fit. Yeah, last team. Yeah, I don't know. Is this how I want to do it? I really do think, like I said, if you consider these three one game, it's absolutely up there as like top tier. And I kind of want to throw one of these up there, just cause. Like I'll just put two up there. But the thing is, I don't think 2, 3, and 1 are like that radically different. I feel like wherever I put one of them, they all need to go, because the biggest problems I have with all three of them is just the general like replayability structure and the amount of missions and the sandbox not being quite up to what I was wanting. But like they're still really fun. I mean, I like almost all the Hitman games. I think Absolution's the most disappointing and the first game's a little fucked, but like it's a pretty damn consistent series, which is cool and unique, which matters a lot to me these days. Yeah, I don't know. I feel weird putting it below Contracts and Blood Money. Contracts people wouldn't agree with me on. I just like the fucking style that much, and I think the rest of it was up to snuff enough. Like, sure, it's not as like dynamic and crazy as Blood Money or the new ones, but I thought it was still plenty fun enough. That with that sick style, man. That's more personal for sure. I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite one of all of them, but I liked it. Like maybe you put Blood Money. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't play them in separate engines. Like I might be like, well, the first one's the worst because it looks shittier or something, or maybe the progression system's really different. And in a couple of days, like that's all. The only way people are gonna think about it is like as a single game. I think it's a little disingenuous because somebody out there did have to pay like 200 to 300 something dollars to play all the content in these. So to like down the line say that, oh, now they're a single game, that's not how they were developed and that's not how they were sold, right? Like if you made a pack of like every Zelda game ever and sold it for $30, well then it's the greatest game of all time, right? But like it's not how you really think about it, right? Like it's the craziest value ever. I don't know. But I mean, I do agree though that these feel much more like one big game through the story, how they've set up the progression structure now. They've definitely made it more of an effort to make it seem like one big game. And like I said, my problems with the new three is something they all share. So even if they were all separate, because they're pretty much exactly the same kind of level design, and in its broader structure, right? The replayability, the incentivization with the challenges and all that. The gameplay that's shared between all of them is the same for the most part. There's like cameras and shit in 3, which is cute. It's a little too late on that. That doesn't. It's cute for a little bit, but essentially just like you don't use your intel enough, and using it to open doors is cute, but like at the end of the day, you use open doors, right? It's not that different. Maybe if the game actually had a bit more clues stuff and solving and trying to figure out stuff about targets, it'd be fine. Anyways, yeah, point is, mechanically they're not all that different. I don't know how different they really became after each 2 years they came out. You know, visually they're all still really good. It's more on the creativity of the levels, the mission stories, the way just the flow of them are and stuff. And I just don't think they were so different in level design quality that I'd put them as a tier different from each other. Like there's some really good stuff in the first one. I would say I think there was things in 2 and 3 that were just better. Like I said, like Miami. I really liked the suburbs place. 3 had stuff like Apex Predator that I like, all that. 1 probably has the best value technically because it has the prologue and then like 6 missions and the bonus stuff that just comes with it. I don't think you gotta pay for that. But other than that, like 1's levels aren't as interesting. So it's like maybe if the level design was like crazy different, like Hitman 1 had the level design of the original Hitman 1, right? But the gameplay was identical to 2 and 3, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, it's a tier below. But like they're really similar, man. Yeah, Lassie, that too. That's my thing, is they already feel like episodes on their own. Good God, having to play them as episodes. And it's like, I respect IOI for it. That's like, you know, it's still a tough sell at times, but like, you know, they're doing something unique. They're trying to please everybody. They're indie now, which is cool. I hope they do well. It is like gameplay focused and still feels like special compared to a lot of like big budget stuff nowadays. They're still, I mean, they're making a game that ran really good on my fucking 1080. It ran great, looks great, you know, better than most big AAA stuff nowadays, and it looks better, and it's like, so it's like I give them a lot of respect. I like it, but yeah, it's still a bad deal a lot of the time, man. No matter what way you spin it, $30 for like 2 levels, or like almost $300 to play all of these with everything in them. If you're playing them as it released, I think that's a little that's a little raw. I'm glad now that it's a great deal, but it's been like 7 years, so it's a little disingenuous to be like, it's a little dishonest to really, for me to be like, oh yeah, it's all just one thing. Yeah, for sure, last soon. Yeah, I don't know. I do think though that like, I still kind of want to think of them as separate campaign. I mean, even right now, you could still buy them separate. I don't know. So, anyways, I guess I'll just have that little stipulation, right? This is probably the tier list, but if you consider all 3 of these one game, I'd probably put it like up there as the best, or really damn close to it, I think. And that's how it's going to be from now on. So I think they're absolutely great, and they're worth playing. They're fun. I have a lot of issues with them, more than I did the old ones. Oh, the sniper challenge I did earlier? No. Sure, it's pretty interesting though. But they're like crazy puzzles. Oh, but yeah, I would say if you think of these as separate games a piece, I think the value problem combined with the other problems I have with them puts them in a tier below. But if you consider them one game, the value is so good there, and there's so many missions, and it feels like one big story for like this, the price of a normal game or whatever. I'd put it up there with the rest of them. That's how they'll end up being in history, but how they released is a little different. As separate campaigns, I definitely think, while they are in some ways so much better than like Contracts and Blood Money, are also like way less engaging at times for me. So I think that's where I'm gonna go. So I guess if anybody cares about this, these 3, the new ones, are both at the top and below, if that makes sense. I think they're cool, and I had a great time with them, but yeah, that's kind of where I stand on it. If that's fair, I'm kind of trying to get both sides of it, and I do feel like that it's kind of like maybe, I don't know, maybe that's just a bit more personal there. I'm sure most people would say the newest ones are like the best, but there's something that just didn't sit right. I mean, I've explained what the something there that just didn't always sit right with me on them. And I still think they're really good. I'm not like totally sold on the tier list, but that's kind of where I'm at. They're hovering between being like at the top and being the tier below. Yeah, that too. Yeah, they're broken. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why it's like, it's hard for me to get into value talk too much. It's really for value. The thing is, you could say these have the best value, right? Because it's like they're replayable to a crazy degree, right? And we got the roguelike mode coming out soon. It's harder with games as a service that are based on replayability, because where you stop with replayability and where you start is wacky. Oh yeah, but I like to discuss it and feel like I'm not missing something, or just kind of getting to where I want to be with it. Oh no, I absolutely agree with that. You can have whatever fucking opinion you want. There's no like raw law of it. I mean, there is a certain level of objectivity that I think maybe people can have to try to improve games and shit. I mean, I don't want to walk around and be like, some movie license trash is the best game ever, and I need people to agree with me, right? But I mean, if you just personally feel that way, it's fine. But I think if we're gonna like try to learn lessons or improve on shit, there has to be something that's good and bad, right? To a certain extent. But like I said, Contracts for me, it's definitely a bit more of a style thing, and I get that that's way more personal, and maybe the replayability hits people really different in the new ones than it does me. But that's kind of where I'm at. I do think there's like clear improvements over You know, Absolution's definitely where it is. The first game, the second game is way better than the first game, and everything else is way better than the other ones. But yeah, when you get to the newest ones and Contracts and Blood Money, they're a little. It's a little bit more like I do think there's problems, but a lot of it you can be a bit more wishy-washy on it. And yeah, at the end of the day, you like whatever you like. You hate every Hitman game, okay, who gives a But we're having a discussion based on assuming that somebody cares a bit, right? I'm fine with people disagreeing with me and wanting to talk about it and why. That's what I like. Or if you do agree, why. Nobody cared, I mean, then this was pointless. Yeah, I definitely agree. 8 inches of snow, damn. That's a lot for us. That's more than we got in years. But anywho, I don't know. I think that's where I sit. Maybe I just played too much Hitman. Maybe that was part of the problem. Who knows? I'm not really. I could play like another old one though. And let's be real. I mean, I'll play like Dragon Quest. Well, I took breaks. I've played games for like 2 weeks straight, man. It's fine. So it's not. I don't think we've only been on Hitman for like what, a week and some change maybe. We did like 1 a day, and we've played like 7, 8. Yeah. Overall thoughts on the series though. Really unique. I think it's a really cool series to play through from beginning to end. There's big, huge changes and upgrades. They really keep finding their stride and trying new things. And each one brings something kind of cool to the table. If you look at it as like a progressive thing, it's a cool idea, and it has a lot of potential. I hope they do more with it in the future. But even if they don't, it was fun playing through them. Definitely a cool series. I can see why a lot of people consider them some of their favorites. It was a good time. I don't know much else to say on it. I explained every little deal about what I thought on it, each game, so it's more or less, I guess, overall take. Overall, good series for sure. I didn't play Hitman Go. We did play Sniper Challenge, the Absolution one. That was, if we wanted to rate that, I don't know, dude. It's better than Hitman Absolution. It's simple. That would be cool, man. That would be crazy cool. You bring yeah, I mean, there is a certain charm to the old style, the fidelity of the graphics at the time, but if you could make those look crispy with the new ones and then introduce like a few more thing is you'd have to change the gameplay. The levels wouldn't work as much, but I'd love to try like those maps with the new engine and mechanics just to see how they work. It'd be a really interesting way to like compare level design and mechanics and how important those were to the old one, because they don't have like mission stories and they wouldn't have like a bunch of like the gas leaks and stuff like that. But then you also get less tools in the new ones at a time, and so would that be, would you do more accidents, or how would that affect it? This will be really cool. They'd have to like replay, probably make them a bit. Yeah, I hope they do more in the future. I still think there's a lot of potential for it. It's an idea that you can keep playing up. How you get that player agency in there, and how the sandbox, how receptive it is to like improvisation, and just, you know, how natural you can make it. I mean, the sky's the limit, right? As long as there's enough gaminess where you can win, right? Like if you make it like total real life, you wouldn't be able to do shit, but like you could get close to certain, you know, if you got, it was advanced enough to do really cool, like, you know, the way you could just use objects and stuff in the world. Use that kind of intuition and shit on the fly. It's a cool idea. I'm really excited for their James Bond game. I hope they get to go hard. I don't even mind if it's just like these, but with like Bond shit. I think the Bond series has so many villains and so many cool places. I would not want them to be just 5 big maps for the Bond thing. I think they need to do smaller if they're gonna do the same thing again. I think they need to be a bit more like a Blood Money. It's an original Bond story? Okay. Most of the Bond games are. Not all of them. Some of them just reuse like everything, but... Well, their stories usually suck. I will say that about Hitman. They're not good story games at all. I don't think any of the Hitman stories... The Hitman stories are at their best when they're very very just kind of just there. As long as they frame things in a very basic way for you just to go on hits, it's fine. Anytime they try to be more than that, it's usually kind of whatever. And that's the thing, is all the old ones, it usually is just basic shit that make you go on hits, so it's perfect. The new ones, they try to have a little bit more cutscenes and stuff, and the way they frame some of it helps with giving like more immersion and purpose to what you're doing, but it's pretty sloppy. Absolution's the worst about it though. It tries to have a lot of story, it's really bad. Wholly original Bond story where he plays step and choose the world's favorite ticket agent to earn their 00 status in the very first Bond origin story. Oh, huh. Sounds kind of neat. So you work your way up to maybe more gadgets and villains and stuff. That sounds kind of fun. Go on different missions and shit. Well, hopefully they fix the story problems. You could totally make a Bond game that's just all gameplay with minimal story. I mean, you get like GoldenEye, right? I mean, which is very similar at times, other than being more of a shooter, but... Oh, absolutely. I'm really excited for it. It's a very... If I was to pick anybody, it'd probably be these people. It feels very close to like what a Bond thing would probably be in the first place. Obviously, you need more crazy gadgets. You need more or over-the-top elements, right? Like, yeah, you can make a place that looks real, but there's got to be a secret base with crazy shit going on. There's dudes with giant, you know, fucking, like, metal teeth. There's henchmen, right? It's more, like, crazy over the top, so, like, more of that flavor and charm. You know, there's always, like, the femme fatales and shit. The suave, like, you know, element to it. He is a spy, but he's also very, like, in public and talking and being smooth and doing non-action things. It's like a mix, right? Like these are a mix, and then the new ones they've pushed the side where he actually is talking and doing shit more, but they got to play that up more on a James Bond thing because that's more what he's about. But like, if anybody was to do it, it'd definitely be they're close. I definitely think you can't do this games as a service 5 missions thing. You would have to make lots of different shit. Because even in the Bond movies, he's going somewhere every 5 minutes, right? The real Hitman? I did want to play Hitman Go. It's supposed to be pretty fun. But I didn't want to pay money for it. It's not on Game Pass or anything. This is the one game I didn't play other than the mobile game. Hitman Sniper Shadows, which looks like it was made in the Fortnite engine, and it looks really shit, and I think it's like it's not even available anymore, so I didn't play that. So this isn't like a true series playthrough, but yeah, exactly, Lassie. I think that's kind of the thing that is the limit of this series, is if you want it to feel like an actual Hitman thing. If you have too many crazy gadgets, like, yeah, you could have like an RC car, like a drone in Hitman or something, but like that's bread and butter for Bond, right? Oh god, I think I've seen the Hitman movie. Maybe we could watch it someday for sure. With that one guy from that one fucking cowboy fucking show. One and only Hitman mobile game. Holy shit, Hitman Blood Money Vegas. Damn, we didn't play this either. This is fucking based. It's play while I talk about. Yeah, this is clearly the best. But yeah. So technically we didn't play like every Hitman game, but I mean, most people only think about the or stuff like Kirby, all these side ones. But yeah, the thing is, like in Hitman, yeah, he can't have like a drone, like or like a RC car with like a bunch of wacky gadgets on it, or like a pen that's like a bomb that's like a. Well, I guess you could, like, okay, but the point is like there's jetpacks and and like crazy super just over the top gadgets in James Bond, right? You kind of can't. They've already set up kind of like Hitman being about a bit more real world, and while there's gadgets and cool stuff and shit, you can't get too crazy. You can get really extreme and creative with the level design, which is what Contracts was doing a bit, and the stuff like Miami fucks around with, and obviously like the transhumanism shit and Hitman 3 and the new Hitman 3. They're trying to lean into that more craziness, but the tools you have, well, I think you could definitely go crazier. There's a certain level of realism you kind of have to play with. Or like Bond, they could just go crazy. Making that work in a sandbox environment, there's a lot more cool stuff they could do with Sam. If they decide to go the same route, I definitely would prefer the sizes of the maps to be toned down a little bit. They don't have to be as small as like Blood Money, but like I would say make them half as big, man, or just like Hokkaido size or something, right? If they're gonna have Bond with like that element to it. We'll see though. It definitely felt like with these that they were trying to do James Bond a lot of the time. I'm curious if it's gonna be even like a sandboxy type of thing. It's a great recipe to do. Like Bond is a good recipe to do like semi sandboxy spy stuff, but I could see them doing it like more set pieces and linear shit, right? Because I mean, he needs to talk to people. Bond does lots of chases and he's skydiving and all that stuff, right? Like that doesn't just like fit into a level. Yeah, Lassie for sure. They were probably like, yeah, this is like really close. Even the music, especially in the first of the new Hitman games, was like, this sounds like some Bond shit half the time, or some kind of like, stereotypical thriller shit. Damn. Game is fucking crazy. I mean, I'm sure it was cool on the phones at the time. I don't know how good of a phone game it was. Obviously, it's not. Can't really compare to like an actual Hitman game. Stuff like Go is like obviously like trying to nail like a certain style. This is still trying to be like, but yeah, exactly. They made it feel like Bond in this so that they could get the Bond project. Anyways, I'm glad they've gone solo and they've got the IP to themselves. I think that's awesome. You get stuff like Disco Elysium where they lose the fucking IP and get fired from the company and all this and that, and that really blows ass. But it's cool to see with IOI where they have a famous series that they can still hold on to after rights flying around so much. And then they get to do new things. Yeah, yeah, Suda. Probably. It's a Bond portfolio. They even have him doing a skydiving mission in like, the beginning of this game. You can kill someone on another AI's path and they do not care. Oh, really? Damn. Push! Shoot him! Damn, he's dead. This is violent. Hide the body 47. No. Well, anyways. It was fun. Thank you guys for watching this. We will be playing more Hitman. I'm not done. I'm not uninstalling it. We'll be back for the roguelike update. I'll probably play through the the Patient Zero campaign, which is a new campaign. Not new, it's new for me. It was the DLC for the first game, which just reuses 4 or 5 maps from the first game in new ways. But I've heard that the last one is actually really cool, so we'll be going through that. So that'll be another probably a 4 or 5 hour thing. And then we'll try the roguelike mode out. So we'll probably have another day or two of Hitman at the point here when that update happens, assuming Game Pass gets it. That'd be crazy if it didn't, but who knows. And then who knows, maybe someday we'll play some other replays of the other ones. Got a lot of other stuff to do. The next game we'll play though is probably Dungeon Munchies, unless I just feel like doing something crazy like Northern Journey or something. I do kind of want to like fuck around with one of those. And then Uda War Mono 3. What? I'm gonna try to go into that with laser focus, totally just try to destroy any bias I have that I can, play it as fair as I can, but let's be real, that's almost impossible. I think Uda 1 and 2 are fucking horrible, and we're gonna play the third one, the best one. Say VN, that'll probably take 5 or 6, probably more than 5 or 6 days, because I'm gonna be so bored during so much of it. I'll just fucking want to take a break. But probably take a while. Has elements of like strategy gameplay, so I think like Fire Emblem, but like worse. Then after that we'll start doing other stuff. If I get the PS5, maybe we'll do the Hogwarts game, but if it ends up being shit, I don't care that much. The idea of like exploring like a kind of like a comfy castle is cool, but I don't know if they haven't done any good games really yet, other than maybe Toy Story 3. That's the only one of theirs I've played. Otherwise, we'll just be kind of playing a bunch of random. There's like a new SpongeBob game coming out, a bunch of small indies that are getting physical releases. We'll see if they all release on the 31st like they say, but I'll be doing a bunch of small shit like that. I might do a Discord stream of Witch on the Holy Night. Whenever that comes out, the fan patch. I was gonna rent it on the Switch. They have a streaming policy. I'm not gonna play it. I'm not gonna fuck with it, so I'm not gonna stream that on Twitch. We'll do a Discord. We'll probably just play random fun shit in February for the most part. Like the Hitman marathon. Let me see exactly what's coming up here. Yeah, I will. I'll let the interested parties know. I usually put out a big warning if I'm doing a stream in the Discord. Like I did with Immortality. Yeah, Mythic Ocean, Fatal 12, Astalon, Tears of the Earth, Little Golf Journey. Those are supposed to be coming out on the 31st. Fatal 12 is a VN. I think it's a Yuri VN. That has a streaming policy, but it only lasted for 6 weeks because they're not fucking shit devs. You can actually stream now. Like a Dragon Ishin's coming out on the 21st, so I'm really excited for that. And then we'll do Octopath Traveler 2 on the 24th. Other than that, though, there's a few things in March. Not a shitload. If I get the PS5, we might do Jedi Survivor and RE4 Remake. I won't be doing Dead Space Remake. I don't really like what they've changed. I'll just watch somebody do it too. I got too much to play to do like a full remake. So. Got important shit like Uda 3 to do. Anyways, I will catch you guys later. I maybe would get back on again today. It's been already 10 hours. I mean, I want to go get some food, but maybe we'll start Dungeon Munchies. Maybe not. River streaming. Don't look like it. Alright, anyways. Catch you folks later. We'll be doing more Game Pass shit too. I guess Atomic Heart's coming out. I might do that. What else do I have on tap on Game Pass? Looking forward to doing. Probably Infernax, Amori, Pentiment, Signalis, stuff like that. Ciao.